You guys, listen, Clay just opened a door Clay was never going to be able to close, and what's leaking out of it is making Clay look smaller every single second. Clay went running to the Daily Mail like a kid telling on a sibling, and Clay genuinely thought the world was about to swing back in Clay's favor. That did not happen. That is not happening. That will not happen. And the worst part? Clay did this to Clay. Nobody pulled it out of Clay. Nobody trapped Clay. Nobody ambushed Clay. Clay walked up to the microphone, cleared Clay's throat, and confessed to everything we already suspected. We are back with part 2 of this whole Clay versus Megan situation, and baby, this one is going to change the way you look at every single biracial dude who keeps telling the world how attracted he is to white women like that is a personality trait. Pull up a chair. Get the popcorn. Lock the doors. Because we are going to walk through Clay's own words, Clay's own admissions, Clay's own self-snitching, and by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why Megan dodged a missile shaped like a man. Let me set the table real quick for anybody just walking in. Clay decided, in Clay's infinite wisdom, to plant a story painting Megan as too loud, too ghetto, too obsessed with the Tory Lanez situation, and too unable to cater to Clay during Clay's off-season. Clay also wanted the public to know, on the record, that Clay is deeply attracted to white women. Read that sentence again. Clay said the quiet part out loud. Clay broadcast it. Clay gave it to a reporter, watched the reporter type it up, and then Clay went to sleep like Clay had just won a debate. The internet woke up the next morning, read it, and collectively said, "Sir, you are doing PR for Megan, not yourself." And before we get into Clay's words, let me address Clay's whole face card real quick, because this matters. Clay, the man with the nose that looks attached to a pair of sunglasses, the man whose profile alone tells a generational story, wants us all to know Clay's standard of beauty is a Roman nose and a blonde rinse. Make it make sense. The audacity is the loudest part of Clay's interview. The audacity is what Clay should have left at home. The audacity is doing more cardio than Clay ever did in the off-season. Now, into Clay's actual confession. Clay's people claim Clay could not live a normal life with Megan because Megan was surrounded by an entourage and security. Sir. Megan is an international superstar. Megan is in arenas. Megan is on world tours. Megan is in stadiums. Of course Megan has security. That's not a flaw, that's a job description. Complaining about Megan having security is like complaining the ocean is wet. But Clay didn't stop there. Clay's people pushed the narrative that Megan was paranoid, that Megan would not stop talking about the night Tory Lanez shot Megan in the foot and then spent 2 years dragging Megan through a public smear war. Clay's source literally said Megan would not shut the F up about Tory Lanez. Pause. Let that sentence sit on the table. Clay, allegedly in love with Megan, allegedly Megan's fiancée, allegedly the safe harbor, is now complaining that the woman Clay claims to have loved kept bringing up the trauma of being shot. Clay is mocking Megan for processing a gunshot wound. Clay is mocking Megan for trauma Megan did not ask for. Clay is mocking Megan for surviving. Tell me how Clay sleeps. Genuinely. Tell me what pillow Clay puts that conscience on. Because that is not a man. That is a guy in a man's body running a man's costume, and the seams are popping. Megan's camp told a completely different story, and this is where the receipts get loud. Megan's people say anytime Tory Lanez came up between Clay and Megan, it was Megan venting to a partner like any normal human being would do after watching the entire internet relitigate the worst night of Megan's life. That's not paranoia. That's grief management. That's healing out loud. That is what a partner is for. But Clay couldn't hold that. Clay couldn't carry that. Clay couldn't even pretend to carry that. Because Clay is, and I say this with my whole chest, weak. Not financially, spiritually, emotionally, internally. Clay is hollow. Clay is the inside of a piñata after the party. And here's the part Clay's PR team really did not want to leak. When the journalists asked Clay's camp whether Clay ever expressed any of these so-called grievances to Megan directly, the source said, and I'm quoting Clay's own people now, he doesn't like confrontation. Did you catch that? Clay was allegedly furious about Megan for months. Clay was running to friends behind Megan's back. Clay was reportedly cheating on Megan. But when Megan, the actual partner, asked Clay if everything was okay, Clay smiled and said, "Yes, honey." Clay played house. Clay performed the relationship. Clay accepted the engagement. Clay accepted the lifestyle. Clay accepted Megan's loyalty. And Clay returned all of it with lies, side women, and a Daily Mail interview. That is not non-confrontational. That is cowardly. There is a difference. Breaking up with someone is a confrontation, yes, but it can be peaceful. It can be respectful. It can be adult. If Clay couldn't muster the bones to say, "Megan, I want out," then what exactly was Clay doing in a 4-bedroom relationship? Eating the food. Driving the cars. Wearing the rings. Posting the soft launches. Smiling for the photos. And cheating in the cracks. That is not a partner. That is a parasite with a publicist. Now, here is the angle nobody else is touching, and this is where we go nuclear. Forget the cheating for a second. Forget Megan being too loud. Forget the Roman nose preference. The real story buried under this entire Daily Mail dump is what I'm calling the identity hostage theory, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Stick with me. Clay's own people, in Clay's own article, admitted that Clay struggled with identity issues regarding his race throughout his life. Clay's source said Clay dated Megan, who is unapologetically black, partly to gain acceptance from the black community. Clay's source said Clay's teammates didn't come from privileged upbringings, so Clay tried extra hard to be in touch with black culture. And then, in the same breath, the source dropped the bomb. Clay is very attracted to white women. You guys, read that ecosystem. Decode it. Clay's own camp just told the world that Megan was not a girlfriend. Megan was a costume. Megan was a credential. Megan was a blackness license Clay was trying to renew. Clay was not in love. Clay was in cosplay. Clay used Megan, one of the most visible black women on planet Earth, as a public bullhorn announcing, "Look, I belong." And the second Clay felt secure enough, the second Clay no longer needed the badge, the second Clay sniffed a different flavor, Clay drifted toward the women Clay actually wanted from the jump. That is not a breakup story. That is a hostage exchange. Megan was the collateral. The black community was the audience. And Clay was the con artist running the long game. This is the part that makes Clay's situation so much darker than a regular cheating scandal. Because Clay didn't just betray Megan. Clay weaponized blackness as a stepping stone, used a black woman as a passport, and then trashed Megan on the way out for being too loud and too ghetto, which, translated from Clay speak, means too black for what I actually wanted. Clay said the quiet part loud. Clay said it in print. Clay paid to put it there. Clay can't take it back. And listen, before anyone in the comments says, but Clay has money, Clay could have anyone, please. Spoken like a true brokey. Megan has Megan money. Megan has international tour money. Megan has stadium money. Megan has private jet money. Megan has F your bank account money. When Megan dates, Megan is not auditioning for a sponsor. Megan is choosing a partner. So no, the bag was not the bag. The bag was Megan choosing to let Clay sit at Megan's table. And the second Clay showed Clay couldn't sit there with manners, Megan picked up Megan's plate and left. Megan did not lose this breakup. Megan won it. Megan won it the second Megan caught Clay slipping. Megan won it the second Megan refused to do the toxic loop most women get trapped in. Megan won it the second Megan kept Megan's tour, Megan's catalog, Megan's bag, Megan's piece. And now Megan is dropping music, making jokes, living loud, and Clay is on Stephen A. Smith's couch, on the Daily Mail's website, in the corner of the internet trying to get one good headline out of a self-inflicted disaster. Let me say something else nobody is saying. Clay's people called Clay non-confrontational, like that was a defense. It was not a defense. It was a diagnosis. Non-confrontational, in adult language, means cowardly. Non-confrontational means Clay would rather hurt the person Clay claims to love than have one honest conversation. Non-confrontational means Clay would rather cheat than communicate. Non-confrontational means Clay needs the partner to be a mind reader, a psychic, a private investigator, all while Clay smiles in the partner's face. Megan was supposed to read Clay's mind. Megan was supposed to detect Clay's affairs through vibes. Megan was supposed to sniff out Clay's secret white woman list through aura alone. Be so for real. And about that list. Clay's source proudly dropped names like a resume. A comedian Clay reportedly dated, who is white. A British actress, who is mixed. A Disney alum, who is black. Clay's people framed Clay's dating history like, see, Clay is diverse. Sir. Diversity in dating is not a personality. Diversity in dating is not a moral framework. Diversity in dating does not erase Clay calling Megan too ghetto, while announcing Clay's preference for white women in the same interview. Clay folded Clay's own alibi on page 2. Now let's talk about the moment Clay actually lost the entire game. Clay sat with these journalists and tried to mock Megan for grieving the Tory Lanez situation. Clay's people said Megan always felt people were out to get to her, and Megan needed security everywhere, even in remote places. Clay. Megan was correct. People were literally out to get to Megan. There was a bullet. There was a court case. There was a coordinated online smear campaign. Megan's instincts were not paranoia. Megan's instincts were survival. And Clay, the man supposedly built to protect Megan, treated Megan's survival instincts like a personality flaw. Clay didn't see Megan as a partner. Clay saw Megan as an inconvenience between Clay and Clay's brunch. I keep coming back to this image in my head. Megan in the studio. Megan on the stage. Megan in the gym. Megan with Megan's friends. Megan laughing. Megan healing. Megan winning. And then Clay, on a couch somewhere, doom-scrolling Megan's tags, watching Megan's numbers grow, refreshing the comments under Megan's last post, looking for one stranger to agree that Clay was the victim here. That is not a man who left a bad relationship. That is a man haunted by a relationship Megan didn't even pack a bag for. Megan is not a perfect human. Nobody is. Megan has made jokes, made songs, made statements that have rubbed people the wrong way over the years. That is called being a person with a microphone. None of that, none of it, gives Clay the right to weaponize a Daily Mail interview against the woman Clay was supposed to protect. You can have private grievances with a partner and still choose grace. Clay chose the opposite of grace, and now Clay gets the opposite of sympathy. And to anybody in the comments still defending Clay because Clay donated to a charity once or smiled at a fan in an airport, let me ask you something. Would you accept Clay's behavior from a man dating your sister? Your daughter? Your cousin? Your best friend? If the answer is no, and you know the answer is no, then stop carrying Clay's water just because Clay has a verified checkmark. Defending bad men in public makes the world more dangerous for the women you claim to love in private. Think about the timeline here for a second. Clay had months. Clay had weeks. Clay had countless mornings, dinners, drives, flights, hotel rooms, holidays, and quiet nights to look Megan in the eye and say one true sentence. Clay chose silence every single time. Clay chose performance every single time. Clay chose Clay's image over Megan's peace every single time. So when Clay now claims Megan was the problem. Remember, Clay had 1,000 exits and Clay refused every single one until Megan opened the door for Clay. And one more thing about Clay's so-called silence. Clay's people keep painting Clay as a quiet, reserved, peaceful guy who simply could not vocalize Clay's grievances. But peaceful men do not run to the Daily Mail. Peaceful men do not call black women ghetto in print. Peaceful men do not announce racial preferences during a public breakup. Clay is not quiet. Clay is calculating. There is a difference, and the difference is the entire reason Megan is free today. And let me circle back to one detail Clay slipped into that article that I refused to let slide. Clay's people framed Clay dating black women as some kind of spiritual journey, like Clay was on safari trying to locate Clay's own reflection. That is not love, that is anthropology, and Megan is not a museum exhibit. Megan is a whole headliner with a whole catalog and a whole crown. The fact that Clay processed Megan as research and not romance tells you everything about why this relationship died on the vine. You guys want to know how I know Clay is lying about everything Clay said? Because if Megan was so loud, so ghetto, so obsessed with Tory Lanez, so high maintenance, Clay would have walked. Clay didn't walk. Clay stayed. Clay proposed. Clay rode the rocket. Clay sipped from the Megan cup. Clay is only now, after Megan dropped Clay, after Megan made a joke in a song, after Megan caught Clay's pattern, suddenly remembering all these problems. Funny how Clay's amnesia clears up the second Clay needs a narrative. And I'll say one more thing because I want this on the record. To every biracial brother out there raised by a white mother who keeps telling the world how preferred white women are, we hear you. We see you. We are not chasing you. Be a Zendaya in a world of Clays. Carry your blackness like a crown, not like a costume you take off when the cameras leave. Because Clay is not a victim of being biracial. Plenty of biracial men move through this world with grace, with dignity, with humility, with love for every part of themselves. Clay is not those men. Clay is Clay. Clay's problem is not race. Clay's problem is character. And character is one product Clay's money cannot purchase. Clay's source closed the article by saying Clay and Megan could not have been a more opposite couple. On that, finally, Clay's people told the truth. Because Megan is winning, and Clay is whining. Megan is touring, and Clay is leaking. Megan is healing, and Clay is hiding. Megan is laughing, and Clay is litigating. Those are opposite trajectories. Those are opposite energies. Those are opposite outcomes. Megan walked into this relationship a star. Megan walked out of this relationship a star. Clay walked in chasing acceptance. Clay walked out chasing headlines. Same Clay. Different microphone. Here's where I want every single person watching to internalize something. Clay's behavior is not just a Clay problem. Clay's behavior is a pattern. There is a specific type of man who collects black women like passport stamps. There is a specific type of man who hides behind non-confrontational while running a double life. There is a specific type of man who, the second a black woman trusts him, decides the woman is too much for the very qualities that drew him in. Megan was loud when Clay courted Megan. Megan was bold when Clay proposed to Megan. Megan was Megan from day one. Clay didn't fall out of love. Clay fell out of usefulness for Megan, and Megan let Clay fall. And Clay's mama. Listen, I don't want to drag mamas into this, but Clay's people did. Clay's people said Clay's mother is white and Clay's father is black and Clay's identity is complicated. Cool. Identity is complicated for a lot of folks. The complication is not the crime. The crime is using Megan as the cure and then blaming Megan for the side effects. The complication is not the crime. The crime is monetizing blackness through a relationship and then mocking blackness on the way out. The complication is not the crime. The crime is Clay. Now I want to talk about Megan's silence, because Megan's silence is, in my opinion, the loudest part of this story. Megan didn't run to the Daily Mail. Megan didn't sit with Stephen A. Smith. Megan didn't fire off a thread. Megan dropped a verse, packed a suitcase, hit the stage, and let Clay drown in Clay's own confession. That is black woman grace under fire. That is, let him talk, let him cook himself, energy. Megan understood something Clay did not. Megan understood that when a man is dragging himself in public, the smartest move is to hand the man a longer rope. And Clay grabbed the rope. Clay tied the knot. Clay climbed the chair. Clay kicked the chair out. Megan didn't have to do anything except keep being Megan. Let me leave you with a lesson hidden inside this entire ugly chapter, because I do not want any of you walking away thinking this is only celebrity drama. This is a blueprint. Pay attention. When a man tells you who he is deeply attracted to, and that person is not you, believe him. When a man cannot have one honest conversation about his real feelings, believe him. When a man uses your community, your culture, your platform, your light, to fix something inside him that you did not break, believe him. When a man calls your boundaries loud, your healing obsession, your security paranoia, and your culture ghetto, believe him. And the moment you believe him, do exactly what Megan did. Pack, leave, tour, win, left, repeat. Because Megan is going to be fine. Megan is more than fine. Megan is the blueprint. Megan is the lesson. Megan is the warning label every black woman should print and tape to the bathroom mirror. And Clay, sweet Clay, sad Clay, salty Clay, scheming Clay, Clay is the cautionary tale every little black boy with a white mama and a chip on his shoulder should be shown before Clay grows into Clay. Be better. Do better. Heal yourself before you marry someone. Stop using women as therapy bills you don't intend to pay. On behalf of the entire black congregation, please, take Clay. Take Clay to the white women Clay keeps shouting about. Take Clay to the Roman noses. Take Clay to the brunches. Take Clay to the suburbs. Take Clay to whoever will have Clay. We are full. We are done. We are not returning Clay's calls. Megan is single, beautiful, well-loved, well-paid, well-received, well-respected, and Megan's next chapter is going to make Clay's chapter look like a footnote. Watch. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me, did Clay self-destruct, or did Megan trigger the whole thing by simply existing too loudly for Clay's small soul to hold? Drop your verdict. Like the video. Subscribe if you are new. I'll be live later tonight breaking down the next twist, because trust me, there is always a next twist when a man like Clay is at the wheel. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. Megan won. Clay lost. The rest is just paperwork. Megan won. Clay lost. The rest is just paperwork. Megan won. Clay lost. The rest is just paperwork. Megan won. Clay lost. The rest is just paperwork. Megan won. Clay lost. The rest is just paperwork. Megan won. Clay lost. The rest is just paper.